Hello, friends. Lori Balue, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, coming in here to talk about weight loss. We all want it. Do you got it? I want to help tell you and support you towards getting that weight loss. And so I want to discuss that today. And I'm going to have a cup of tea while we're doing this, while I'm waiting for people to come on. And if you're just joining me on this as a replay, drop your questions below. Hi. How are you doing? Thanks for coming on. We're talking about weight loss overall in menopause, but maybe you know somebody else who needs support as you join. I'm going to wait a few minutes to find out if, wait for other people to come on. So get yourself a drink, sit down, relax. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. Let me know if you have any questions about weight loss, especially if you're over 50 and need some tips and ideas about what to do. I have stopped eating for the day. It's 3 o'clock. I've already eaten all of my food for the day. I had made up 4 ground beef patties. I ate 1.5 and put 2.5 away for my hike tomorrow. And I had it with avocado and a fermented pickle. And I had that around noon. That was my lunch, full up. So now it's just tea for the rest of the afternoon and maybe some sparkling water with some electrolytes that I like to have. And that's satiating for me. 2 meals a day is pretty much all we really need, especially when we're in menopause, depending on how much you're working out as to how much protein you might need. The more you work out, the more protein you need. And the more protein we get, the more we actually get to tell our body what we want to do with it when we feed it the right information. When we give food to our body, we want to look at that as information. And the more protein you give your body, the more you program your body to build muscle. And the more muscle we build in menopause and over 50, it helps us to actually burn through more glucose and create more muscle mass so that we can have a few extra carbohydrates if we are carbohydrate intolerant, insulin resistant. Women over 50 tend to be more insulin resistant with lower hormones, more adrenal dysfunction, or adrenals are just kind of burned out. Thyroid isn't working the way it should, and so metabolism is a little slower. So the way we manage all of that is to actually rev up our metabolism with more protein and taking out the carbohydrates and minimizing them to under 50 so that we could lose weight more readily. So if you're over 50 and ready for weight loss, but you're not quite there, can't figure out how to get it, that's what this call is for. This is some Q&A. Let me know if you have a question, if you're stalled with your weight loss, what you're doing, what you need help with. But what I want to talk about today specifically is if you're a woman over 50 and then you're in menopause, or even if you started menopause early and not quite at 50 and you feel like you're sluggish, brain fog, insulin resistant, gaining weight, not really able to lose the weight, you don't want to count calories. So the reason we don't want to count calories is because that's not how to lose weight when you're over 50. We are more insulin resistant. The way to lose weight over 50 is to really get our carbohydrates down and to focus on nutrition. I mean, how many people have been dieting their whole life, not really getting the nutrition we need? And often people are just starving at the cellular level. A lot of people who are diabetic are starving. You're eating food to fill your belly, but you're not eating food to actually nourish your nervous system as well as your cellular system. A lot of people have adrenal dysfunction. They might have protein and fat malabsorption, not able to actually digest your food and get it to absorb in the body. And so we want to actually get that food absorbed. And so there's a lot of factors that can go into weight loss over 50 specifically because our bodies are more sluggish. We do have more cognitive decline. We do have more metabolic dysfunction. There's fatty liver, fatty pancreas, insulin resistant. All of those things are happening. Makes weight loss a lot harder. So counting calories doesn't really work in the long run. It could work in the short term, but you're going to be using willpower only, and you might lose bone and muscle while you're losing the fat. But if you want to lose weight the right way, what we want to do is not count the calories, but make sure we're getting the fat and the protein. Count the fat and the protein. and make sure that our carbohydrates are low enough to get our body to burn our stored body fat. Because if you're counting calories and eating a lot of carbohydrates, what you're doing is actually getting or burning the carbohydrates you're eating. And then after your exercise, how many people after they exercise feel really good, go out, reward yourself, and eat something that seems healthy but probably has sugar in it or carbohydrates in it? And when that's the case, what are you doing? You're putting more sugar in your blood, and you're going to burn those calories. You're not going to actually burn your body fat. And so you just keep that perpetual process happening. And unless you're a bodybuilder using up all of that and more, it's going to be a lot more complicated. But if you're the standard woman over 50, we're in menopause, we're exhausted, we need to increase our metabolism by getting more protein, not counting calories. I've heard so many stories in my own clients alone, and even myself. You could lose weight, starve yourself, eat carbohydrates for the moment, depending on your age as well, lose a little bit of weight, but then you gain it all back. But part of the issue of that is you might have lost your whole body mass, not necessarily body fat. But what comes back is the fat. And so then you end up with less muscle, less basal metabolic rate ongoing to get to the point where you have a very sluggish metabolism. And we want to increase metabolism. We want to increase a working thyroid so your body works for you. So you get to the point where weight loss is natural and part of the way your body is supposed to be working. Counting calories can't give you that. I never could lose weight until I actually put myself on a keto diet, long term. I lost weight in Atkins over the years, but I never looked at it beyond a diet. And I never kept it going long term, because how many people will say they did keto, they started low carb, they'll do it, they lose a little bit of weight, and you go back to all the stuff you ate before. You go back to all the foods you liked, go back to the ice cream, the pizza, the alcohol, the sweets at the holidays, and you get off track and you just don't feel good, you lose your motivation, and all of a sudden the weight comes back. Well, what if you could create a low carb lifestyle, aging beautifully and adventurously long term, creating a metabolism that works, organizing your metabolism so it functions, resetting your metabolism so it always works, and getting your thyroid to work as well. Those are what we need to focus on, not calories. You can always adjust your calories after you get your body reset. After you reset your metabolism, drop the first 20 pounds, you got to nourish your body, nourish your brain. We only have how many more years do we have to live after 50? We don't even know. Unless we actually try to cultivate a lifestyle where we're getting 10 to 20 more years of quality living to be active with taking out the carbohydrates. We can't get that unless you do that. And unless you have a body type that was slender to begin with, that had a lot of good head start. You grew up on a farm, you ate more meat when you were younger, you had really good gut bacteria, there was less processed food in your bodies at a younger age, and maybe your grandparents had that head start too. That all determines how we gain weight as we get older. And when I tried to count calories or just eat a low-fat, less protein-rich diet, I never lost inflammation. And so that's huge. You can lose a little bit of fat if you count calories, but you don't lose the inflammation overall. And what happens is you could actually lose weight but not lose the symptoms of what's going on in your body. I had a client tell me that. Didn't get rid of the gut dysfunction, didn't get rid of the gut pain or the gut, gurgling, the gut dysfunction, and didn't get rid of the pain in the body, yet she lost weight. I find that fascinating. Isn't that fascinating? To know that we could lose weight but not lose the inflammation? You have to really think about that. Because we want to lose inflammation to lose weight naturally so we don't ever have to gain the weight back. Counting calories can't give you that. Counting calories and Weight Watchers, you've got to go back every year and do it again. You got to go back every year and do it again, continuously. And starve yourself and keep your calories low so you never feel satiated. So many people who used to be vegetarian or vegan turn to a low-carb diet and they're like, oh my God, I'm not hungry anymore. It turns off the hunger. How would you like to have a lifestyle where you just don't feel hungry? You could stop eating at 3 o'clock in the afternoon like me and not eat again until breakfast the next day around between 7 and 9 a.m. Doesn't even matter. You can go longer. I'm going for a hike tomorrow. So I'm basically going to have bulletproof coffee with some collagen and creatine and maybe some equipped protein powder. So it'll be 50 grams of protein and 2 cups of coffee. That's what I do when I go on a hike. And I bring ground beef patties with me, and that's my snack. I'm the only one there eating my ground beef patties. But I don't worry about that. Everybody else is eating candy bars or granola. But that's just sugar in the body, and it doesn't give your body health. And so as a practitioner, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, what I understand and what I've noticed with my own lived experience of having lost 100 pounds in this process, and understanding why we get fat and how to lose the fat, and looking at fat as an endocrine organ and how we can organize our body and manipulate it, biohack it to do what we want it to do. Be aware that we have power and that we can use food as information to our body. When we look at food that way, we can still enjoy the food we're eating. We just stop eating the poison that makes your body feel like crap. That causes your body to decline and get sick and die too young. How many people die too young that you know of? It's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to lose family members and friends and people to have to deal with cancer and Alzheimer's and depression. But those are lifestyle diseases that if we actually know what causes it, what if we could prevent that or reverse our risk for it? And if these are lifestyle diseases, it is being shown in studies that this is possible. If I could reverse my risk for diabetes, and my brother can reverse his diabetes, and other people do as well, you can do this in several months and be in better health to then make better choices ongoing. You start low carb, start dialing it in. You have to reverse fatty liver and fatty pancreas and control your metabolism. You have to take the sugar out, which is poison to your body. But if you're counting calories and leaving the carbohydrates in, you never turn off the disease process. You never turn off the inflammation. There is always going to be a low-grade inflammation. It's sugar, inflammation, and oxidation that causes cardiovascular risk and disease in our body. We have to flip your sugar switch off to flip the disease-causing genes off. And counting calories and taking your fats down and minimizing red meat is not going to help your body get healthy to manage disease in your body. I flipped my disease-causing genes off. That's how I've lost 100 pounds. I turned the inflammation off in my body. I never counted calories. What I counted was how much fat am I getting and how much protein am I getting. And these days, more so as I've living in my 60s, I'm like, I will not eat unless I've got 30 grams of protein. Like, waste the protein meal. If you're not getting 30 grams, it's not going to add up to build muscle synthesis. So we have to look at what goals and our visions. Is our goal and our vision to live longer, to stay out of a nursing home, to have better health, to be able to be active and get out and hike and do what we want to do, to go on vacations and be feeling beautiful in our bodies again? That's what I want. But I think from what I'm hearing from my clients, actually I know that because that's what my clients are saying. They want to live longer. I always find it fascinating that people come to me not just for the weight loss, but I have a double solution, weight loss and diabetes solution, because they come hand in hand the way I do my program, the way I have it designed. Because it is a metabolic reset, not only do you get the weight loss, as you reset your metabolism and get your metabolism healthy, then you lose your weight naturally. And so it's not a super fast weight loss process unless your body has just been so like eating bread too much and just focused on carbohydrates so much that all of a sudden you give it protein and you give it fat and you do some OMAD, intermittent fasting, and then all of a sudden the weight just falls right off like it did for Pia. One of my clients and friends, Pia, dropped 50 pounds in 6 months. It can happen. I wasn't as lucky. I only dropped 20 pounds in the first 3 years. So never give up. That's what I'm telling you. It's information to your body. What is the next level of healing you need to find? We have to reverse the inflammation, clean up our diet and lifestyle. We have to get activity, and we have to program our muscles to be using more energy, using more muscle building a better basal metabolic rate. That can take time. If you've been starving yourself all your life and you haven't actually built up your basal metabolic rate, that your muscles have been too low. Because if you're subsiding on 1,200 calories or less, you're probably not getting the right amount of protein to build muscle. Therefore, your brain and your body are not getting the nutrition they need. And you may have dysbiosis. When you tend to eat like that, you tend to have a low stomach acid and bile acid that doesn't function. So you then have protein and fat malabsorption. And so you're not absorbing your nutrients, your minerals, and your protein. These are all things happen. And that's why when people look at a diet and they think they just need to count calories and that it's going to work, it doesn't always work. It doesn't work all the time. And that's why so many people fail when they have come into January and they have the desire, because they want to lose the weight. You want to start over. We all do. We want to lose that weight. I understand it. But what happens is, because you're starving and you didn't give yourself the nutrition you needed, you can only go so long on willpower before your body lowers its basal metabolic rate and tells you it's time to eat again. And so you will eat again. It's just the way it works. And so that's what I could never do anyway. This is Buddy. Say hi, Buddy. I could never do that anyway. I always had to eat. And I had to learn to manipulate my food so that it would work for me. And that's why it took me so long to actually lose my weight. And it took me till I got on a low-carb diet into a keto diet before I could turn off the cravings of hunger and turn off the cravings completely to satiate my appetite to lose the weight. So if you're like me and you've got an obesogenic body or DNA and you tend to gain weight and you can't lose weight, even if you're trying to starve yourself, it's because of insulin resistance. It's because of something's going on in your body. It's gut dysfunction, so many things, hormone imbalances, and stress. Yes, you've heard stress. Stress is a big one. But we have to use movement, sunlight, and grounding activity to actually get our body into a parasympathetic state so we could lose weight more naturally. On my worst days, you'll find me walking with just shorts, at sports bra, barefoot at the nature center, grounding, because I need more energy. When we get the energy we need into our body, then our mitochondria is going to function. So there's a lot of things, and I reiterate this a lot because it's so important to know. But what I wanted to specifically mention in this call, please don't count the calories. Start nourishing your body. When you get to a point where you've lost some weight and your body's feeling better and you have the brain energy back, the next step then is to make sure you're getting the right amount of fat, you're getting the right amount of protein, 30 grams of protein per meal, maybe only 2 meals a day because you're no longer so hungry that you need 3. And then you look at fat as the lever, and do you need to turn it down or turn it up? Like, what is your goal and what condition do you have? If you're fighting dementia and Alzheimer's, you're going to need more fat, not less. And if you're doing a lot of extreme weightlifting, you might need more protein, but you still don't want to minimize your fat, because we actually can't eat protein without fat, because you could end up with something called protein poisoning from not having the right amount of fat in your body or with your food. And that's why even the Eskimos knew to always dip their meat, their fish, into fat, because we need the fat with our meat. And if we don't get it, then we don't get the energy we need, and we don't get the ability to actually digest our food correctly. And we could end up with what used to happen to prospectors, which is protein poisoning from eating like very lean rabbit or squirrel. And so that wasn't something that you could subsist on. It was actually something that was happened to prospectors back in the day. So it's kind of an interesting story. And so if you're thinking about starting a weight loss program and you're thinking you need to cut the calories and count calories, is not really the way to go. The best thing you can do right now is to start with 3 meals a day. Eat fat, protein, and vegetable to satiation. Have a little bit of berries in the evening. Have a couple of nuts like macadamia nuts. Make sure your nuts are oil-free. And oils are inflammatory. That's part of that oxidation issue and oxidative damage process that we have. Sugar, inflammation, and oxidation. Now, I've looked at the labs that my clients run. there's a lot of oxidation, and that leads to cardiovascular risk, and it is a precursor to the disease in our body. And then there is a lot of liver dysfunction and pancreatic insufficiency happening, a lot of protein and fat malabsorption and putrefaction in the digestive system. And I remember Dr. West one time saying that it's not red meat that causes cancer, like you're told. What it is undigested carbohydrates and inflammation and oxidation in the colon. So we want to make sure our food is digested. So if you're taking a digestive enzyme, a really good hack to have that I utilized, haven't been doing it that much these days, but it was a huge 15-pound weight loss process for me, is to make sure you're getting and maximizing digestion with your digestive enzymes throughout the day. And then taking a couple before bed, because that's going to break down the sludge in your gut, help break down more biofilm, and just kick it out of your body so that you can get a more optimized gut health, so that you have better bacteria, because you have two types of bacteria in your gut. See, these things they don't talk about you when you tell you to count calories. You have two types of bacteria: Bacteroides, which is your skinny bacteria, and Firmicutes, which is your fat bacteria. Now, they may be changing these names, I heard, but I'm still going to call them that because I memorized how to say them, so I'm going to continue to say them until I hear otherwise. Your Firmicutes bacteria, if that gets overgrown, they're going to store more calories away for you. They're your fat bacteria, and they're fed by carbohydrates, and that also includes candida and fungus. And so if you tend to have a lot of sugar, a lot of carbohydrates, you might end up with more candida overgrowth in your body, more fungal overgrowth, and with a higher amount of carbohydrates in the diet. I've noticed this on another lab too, with a huge pathogenic bloom of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which is very pathogenic and causing a lot of food sensitivities. That was very fascinating to see. We want to break all that down. The problem is if you have low stomach acid and H. pylori or something going on with dysbiosis, and you're not digesting your food, it's going to sit in the small colon and putrefate. What's that word? It's going to not digest. It's going to just sit there and just rot. And it just can't digest. And then it starts causing problems. It's supposed to be sterile in the small intestine. And that's where a lot of problems happen. There's a lot of constipation can come out of that. And then when your gut's not functioning, you can have a lot more depression. That's what I had most of my life with depression, because I did not have the gut health that I needed to have. And I was eating my food sensitivities. I was sensitive to wheat, dairy, corn. And of course, I reacted to sugar because I am was pre-diabetic at least since my mid-30s, because I had PCOS. So there's so many things that we need to take a look at, and that's what I do as a health practitioner. I actually find out what's going on with your body, discover what your symptoms are, talk to you because you don't always tell me what all of your symptoms are, do a health intake, run a metabolic and adrenal thyroid questionnaire, and give you a metabolic analysis to find out what's going on in your body, so I can actually help you reach your vision and your goals. These are the foundational steps that you need to do to get your body healthy, to lose the weight permanently, to lose the weight so you can reclaim your health. It's not counting calories. Counting calories leads to a heart attack. It leads to cancer. It leads to dementia, because you're left out your fat and your protein. And then disease sets in. I didn't make this up. This is just what happens. And it just breaks my heart, because it should be known that everybody should know, but you just don't know what you don't know. And that's why I'm here to help kind of clarify everything. And I wish that this information was more readily available, because everybody's out there trying to survive, but we just don't know you don't always know what direction to go in. I've discovered the right direction to go in for my body and for my body type. And it actually happens to work for most Americans, or most everybody. I have an Australian client even. When you take the carbohydrates under 50, you get to burn your body fat. But you can't burn your body fat if you're just eating carbohydrates, and that's what's in your blood system. If you have too much carbohydrates in your blood system, no matter how many calories you're counting, your body might have too much. Then it has to create LDL cholesterol, to create triglycerides to restore it for you if you don't use what you're eating. And so that's why a lot of people try to keep their calories low and count them to try to minimize that step. But then you're not nourishing your body. You're ending up creating a dementia state for your body, especially if it's prevalent in your life, in your family. If it's prevalent in your family, it isn't going to go away unless you nourish your brain. Our brains can use ketones more than they can use glucose, and they cannot use glucose if you're insulin resistant. Therefore, your brain gets no energy and you have brain fog. And so the way I look at weight loss, I look at it as a weight loss and diabetes process. You can have both. Those who didn't know that this is Buddy, he's still here. But you can have both. And that's what I love about my process for the holistic low carb method, is that when we want weight loss, we need to look at the whole body health and know that we could actually flip our sugar switch off when we do this, to flip our disease-causing genes off, to get the weight loss without counting calories, but by manipulating fat in the body and letting it get the information. You need to give your body information from food to tell your body what to do with it. When you do that, you win. You get to turn off your disease-causing switch. I no longer have melanoma in my body. I no longer have pre-diabetes, and I don't have diabetes. Most everyone in my family has cancer and diabetes because that's what runs in my family. Anybody who has the obesity survivor gene has that propensity to have that. But if you practice epigenetics and turn that switch off, reduce that metabolic risk, correct your metabolism and blood sugar regulation, then there's no problem. It's almost as simple as that. What's not simple is actually understanding it completely, having that certainty and conviction and understanding of this process, and somebody to guide you to it who's already doing it and understands it, like myself. And that's why mentors are always really good to have in your back pocket. I remember my sister one time said, "I wish I had you in my back pocket." And I said, "You do." And so I coined the term FDN in your back pocket, because my clients text me. You get texts and cell contact if you're in the United States, on Voxer if you're international, because you need to have support, and I don't want you to be alone. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to try to figure out desperately how to lose the weight to get better in your body, to feel better. Everybody thinks it's just if I lose the weight, I'll get better. I have better health. But basically, it's the other way around. We have to get healthy to lose the weight. To get healthy to lose the weight, you have to lower your carbs. And it's not going carb-free. I don't eat carb-free. There are days when I do. Today I had a fermented pickle and that was it. Very little. Oh, I had some cashews. Not cashews, I had some pecans. Sometimes I have some kimchi, but it doesn't have to be a lot. But if you want more, you can have more vegetables. Basically, you have to take out the ones that are going to raise your blood sugar over 50 carbohydrates. And I think it's been said by some of the doctors that are out there practicing low-carb nutrition that you want to keep your carbohydrates no more than 20 to 25 grams per meal, so that you don't raise your insulin levels. If you do raise your insulin levels, then you throw yourself out of ketosis and you stop your fat burning and your brain just doesn't work. So if you're doing this for depression, bipolarism, those are really good reasons to actually look at a low-carb nutrition. If you wanted to study this, study Brain Energy by Dr. Chris Palmer. He's out there making headwaves. Also, Georgia Ede. They're both metabolic psychiatrists. Their medical psychiatrists changed over to metabolic psychiatry because they've noticed it in the studies that food, definitely, who would have thought, right, works better than medications. Like you can reverse diabetes with food, but you can't do it with medication. The same with brain dysfunction. And if that's the case, why can't we just prevent it all, right? And so the whole goal in my program with my weight loss and diabetes solution, oh boy, Buddy just knocked the lamp over. So that's what cats do when they're up on your desk and you're filming. So hopefully didn't scare everybody to death here. Have to be more careful with that. I wasn't expecting that. At least, here he is trying to get the phone again. And I think I lost my train of thought. But what I wanted to say overall is, if we can get our body to be healthier with food, what we want to do is reverse our risk for disease overall by managing weight loss. So don't go into weight loss thinking it's a calories in, calories out process, when we basically want to have nourish our body and our brain overall to turn off the disease process, to have natural weight loss. That's what we want. So counting calories won't take you there. I would never have lost 100 pounds counting calories ever. There could be some people who could do this and that they don't have the obesogenic body. And there's other people who have to take it all out to succeed because of sugar cravings. And it doesn't, none of it's wrong. You start where you're at and where you need to go, and you can build on top of it. Just getting started and building a low carb lifestyle is what you need to do. Everybody can benefit from this. This is how we were designed as mammals, as animals. Our ancestral diet and lifestyle is designed around protein, fat, and maybe a few carbohydrates in spring and summer, but not a lot. We were designed to be in ketosis during winter, and we were designed to get fat with carbohydrates during summer so that we could burn that calories for winter to survive. But now food is too prevalent. We eat too much of it. We don't need to eat as often as we do. We could fast for a couple of days and be perfectly fine. What we can't live without is water and oxygen. Those are the things that we need. So there's so many things we can do. Just don't count the calories to get your weight loss that you want to have, and focus on nourishing your body with protein and fat so that you can be successful. There was never a diet that was successful for me until I did the fat and the protein and did keto. None of the other diets ever lasted, and they never gave me the health that I needed. I lost 60 pounds one time on low calorie, but I was in my 30s where it's easier. I couldn't have done that in my 50s, I don't think. Gained it all back. Guess I never lost the asthma. Never lost the depression. I think this is critical to really understand that we could lose weight but not lose the inflammation. So you're not any healthier. That's the point I'm trying to get at. Counting calories doesn't give you health. It might look like you're slenderer and but because you took the sugar out, and so you're feeling better overall because you're eating less processed food, but you're not nourishing your body. And I think that's very telling when I see my clients noticing the same thing, that they never felt healthy until they took the carbohydrates lower and get to the point where they took all the crap out and they can feel amazing. And that's when they want to stay low carb and create the lifestyle because it works for you. I have created ketone energies for my muscles and for my brain. I've programmed my body to burn energy. When I get around people and they say, you eat a lot, I can put down 50 grams of protein at one sitting and feel great, and I can digest it. And my body can utilize that food. When my clients first start with me, they can't eat even 30 grams of protein. They have to build up to it. So there's certain hacks that we can do for that. And there's lots of things that I guide my clients around with lifestyle management because that is what I do. I do so many different things, and it's really fun and amazing to know that I could take all my lived experience, all my education as a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and an obesity survivor, all the information I've studied, all the hundreds of books that I've read, hundreds of podcasts I've listened to. I've got all that information in my head, and when I know what you need, I give you that information. It was so astounding when I had a client start with me at the beginning of January, and she gained 5 pounds the whole year before on carnivore. And she did, she felt really good. She got rid of a lot of pain. It solved a lot of problems. It fixed her endocrine system, but she didn't lose the weight. And it didn't fix her brain. She had more emotional issues and some depression. It just didn't fix that. But all I did was one or two tweaks, and 2.5 pounds weight loss in 1 week after gaining weight and being stalled for a year. That's the power of meeting you where you're at and taking you where you need to go with my lived experience. And that is something you can't get in a group coaching program that's cheaper. You get that with one-on-one support. And when I use the 6 diagnostic labs to find your hidden healing opportunities, I find exactly what we need to do to get your body back together again so we can get you healthy, your metabolism working, and reset your blood sugar. Because if you're not digesting your fat and your protein, that's the biggest block. That's the huge stop. That needs to be corrected. And we need to get your stress and cortisol levels organized, because if you're a woman over 50 and your adrenals are exhausted and your cortisol levels are too high, you're not going to lose the weight. So many different factors that we need to tweak as we correct the health of your body to actually turn off your disease process. And I say that that with 100% implementation, sorry about that, with 100% implementation of the holistic low carb method, we could get a lot of results. I'm talking a 20-year urinary issue with one of my clients gone. My asthma gone. I've seen 95% less pain in my clients, energy back, cognition gone. And it's not diagnosing any one thing, and it's not just focusing on any one thing. It's supporting the whole body all at once with functional health and nutrition. Not counting calories. Calories doesn't work. Not for the long run, not for your health, not for your longevity, and not to thrive and be active and build muscle in your 60s like I have. Someone was just telling me, one of my clients was telling me that a young 40 family member already losing some cognition and can't walk very much. And I was thinking at that moment, I'm like, wow, I walked 24 miles across the Grand Canyon and my legs are strong. And they get stronger every year. But I had to build them up by eating the right food for my body. And I had to build my brain and my nervous system and my resilience by nourishing my brain and my body so that I actually had the desire and the motivation to want to go out and do that, to leave the house and to take trips on my own and to drive and have these adventures. Because you also have to be able to get out of your home, stimulate your nervous system, stimulate your brain, have new adventures to grow your brain. When you do that, you win. Because then you're telling your body, it's time to grow. It's time to live. It's time to get out there and develop this body and keep it young. But if you just sit at home, you don't eat right, and you let your body and your brain diminish, your muscles weaken, and your brain will shrink. And then you're dying. Those are the choices. So I hope you start low carb and start counting fat and protein and not counting calories. All right, guys, you've got this. And if you have any questions after this, if you come up with a question, put it underneath and let me know what you're thinking, what your thoughts are, and what you want. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.